and it occurs in the title of many of the chapters. So, Peret im Heru, coming forth coming forth in the day, or coming forth by light. There are many different ways you can translate it. Peret means to come, but it also means to go, and it also can mean come and go. So the point is that this is a book about, for one, a transition from this life to the next life. And so we, coming forth or going forth or going out into the light or coming forth from the day are all possible meanings. The owl is a letter of the alphabet which is im, it means in, by. It has many different prepositional meanings. And Heru is a word for day or daylight. So that is the name of the book, and we say that because it occurs over and over and over again throughout the book, and especially in the titles. Peret im Heru, book of the coming forth by day, book of going out into the light. A book about 7,000 years BC, read and desired for thousands of years and still being read to this very day. The purpose of the book. You know, when we have a book, no matter what book it is, it's important to ask, what is the purpose of the book? You know, what is the purpose of it? How we can use it. And for me, that means, how can I use it to better my life? Can I use it to better my life? When I read things, I don't want to just be reading something that I consider so esoteric that it just sounds really good, but what will it mean in my life? That's what I want to ask. Its purpose was to help people to prepare for the next life. Now, in Western society, people do not prepare for the next life. As a matter of fact, in Western society, we basically think that when you die, you're dead, you're gone, that's it. That's what I was taught. I grew up in a Christian church, and when you die, you're dead, you're gone, that's it. And it even was so for my family in particular. When my mother passed away, my father he's never gone to visit her at the cemetery. He said, she's gone. He really believes that, and it was his particular type of Christian upbringing that he had, that's it. But African people know that we really do not die. We continue to live again in different stages of consciousness or in different levels of reality. That death is definitely not the end, that we continue to live in the next life. Well, the Kemites thought that we need to prepare for that. And that's what this book is about. In part, we need to prepare for the next life and to ensure a good transition and a place in the next level of life. As they said in the book in the Peret im Heru, in whatever form you desire. Now, I'll talk about that later, but that was one of the things they said. They said they believed that you could become or be whatever you desired in the next life. But this is a discussion for a little later on as well. It helped people to understand what was important in this life. For example, it constantly stresses ma'at. It constantly stresses and focuses on the neteru. And so in order to be ma'at in the next life, you have to know ma'at here. In order for that scale to balance with the feather of ma'at on that judgment day, you have to be ma'at here. And so the book really helps you to understand what is ma'at and what is important that you need to do in this life, so that when you get there at the stage of transition, you will be able to have a balanced scale and move on to the next level of consciousness and to the next life. Once again, this book has nothing to do with death or dead. It is the book of coming forth or going out into the light, coming forth by day. It's the book about living again. As a matter of fact, they constantly say throughout the book, living again, to live again. So it's not, how they ever came up with this, I don't know, because the people, Budge could read Medu Neter, and he says in here, the book was called The Parrot Imheru, and explains all of that, but he gave this ridiculous title to the sacred book. Kemites believed in everlasting life like Ra. You know, do we ever believe or think that the Ra, the sun, will ever cease to appear in the morning and set in the western horizon? Do we not think that that is eternal and that life on this planet is dependent on the light of the sun, and that is eternal forever? So we say, we have a saying in Medu Neter, Mi Rajet, like Ra forever, and that's what we mean by that. Some of the titles of some of the chapters, just to give you an idea. The chapter of not allowing the body of a person to decay in Aminta, the next life. Chapter of opening the mouth. And there's a chapter of raising up the body, making the eyes to see, ears to hear, setting firm the head and giving it all of its powers. Chapters for walking again, eating again. Chapters for all kinds of things that only the living do. Chapter of establishing the backbone of Asar and giving breath to a person. Chapter of coming forth from yesterday and going forth into the day. Chapter for a person to change into whatever he pleases. There are a couple of chapters about the fact that in your next level of conscious, you can choose whatever you please choose to be. Chapter of not walking upside down in Aminta. Okay, and it tells you how not to walk upside down in Aminta. So the living, and also it says over and over again that this book can be used by the living, those of us on earth. And so we read these chapters and we learn about Ma'at, and we learn about the Neteru, and we learn about how to not walk upside down in Aminta or walk upside down on earth. So when we read the book, the living learn the lessons that will also be used by the initiate as he or she moves on into the next level of consciousness. The Parrot Imheru is not a mystery or a secret text. I said before that everybody could have one of these. Everyone could have one of these scrolls. And people desired them because they wanted to live, they wanted their next level of consciousness to be ma'at, and they wanted to live in harmony and balance forever and ever. They didn't want bad things to be there in the next life. So everyone wanted the book. That means that this book is not a mystery. You know that the Kemites could read and write. I hope everybody knows that. Women too. I hope you know that too. And so it's not a mystery. It doesn't, and I have there that this information would have been taught from the time you were a child about the Neteru, about Ma'at, about Ra, about Ma'at, once again. It would have been taught from the time you were a child because that's the way the society functioned. That was the basis for it without any written laws. You can ask me questions about that during the question and answer period. How do you have a society without written laws? Right, so a lot of people I've heard say this is a secret text, but no, it's not, because the purpose of it is for people to learn how to live, how to be better people, how to be better, how to participate and better within nature and within this life, in this universe, with everyone and everything else. And you were taught about Ra, which I just talked about. You were taught about the Neteru and the creation story. You were taught about Ma'at. You were taught about Asar as a child. Book of for the preparation and transition. Okay.